Alrighty, game 3, it's a decider. It looks like Psycho is going to stick with Terran in the bottom left of this map, and PottyPirate sticking with Protoss in the top right of the map. So let's get the production tab so we can see what these guys are up to. Oh, what have I done there? And I'll get the name bar on the top just in case we forget who we're watching or something like that. So in the production tab, nothing for PsychoMantis. What is this? What are you up to? Why wouldn't you be building workers? These are the questions that I've got. There goes the depot, but you don't need it yet. You need workers. First and foremost, workers. Potty, meanwhile, is a much more regular build, is building those workers, is now building a pylon. 2 depots you definitely don't need. This... Oh, hello, a little bit of pinging. Gone proper bonkers with the pinging. Yeah, so he's completing a wall here with some sort of level of paranoia, I feel. I don't feel any need to complete a wall before you've built any workers, because we're only 1 minute in. What's going to arrive to kill you at a minute? Nothing. That's what. I mean, a scouting worker might turn up, but that's it. So I don't agree with that. Potty, meanwhile, you can see is now saturated. So if we look at the income tab, you can see how significant the difference is. Much higher income for Potty because he was building workers that whole time. Now Terran can catch up. The orbital command can make a huge difference to income. What do we have here? 3 racks. So a 3 racks opener generally means you're going to cheese, generally means you're going to be pumping out something. 3 racks Reaper a while ago was a very, very popular build, can be very, very effective, but Reapers, they can be micro intensive, and if you're not well practiced at sort of staying on top of your macro, they can actually do you as much damage as you do to your opponent, because you spend all your time microing your Reapers about and you kind of neglect to stay on top of what's going on at home. So we'll see. That doesn't look like it's going to be the case. There is gas being mined, but only by a single SCV, so it doesn't look like it's going to be Reapers. Marines building from that barracks, nothing yet from the others. Potty is perhaps unsurprisingly building a zealot, but a gas comes down and there's already a gas for Potty, so straight away I prefer this to what I've seen in the last couple of games. As Protoss you need gas, similarly as Zerg you need gas, and as Terran you need gas. In general, gas quite good. So yeah, this looks better to me. The Cyber Core is down and researching already. I've lost the ability to speak. No Mothership Core as yet, but hopefully we will see that coming. And hopefully, I'd like to see just a filthy big Adept push or something like that. We haven't really seen any use of Adepts so far in the game, but Adepts are tough units and they do well against squishy things like Marines and Zerglings. Yeah, so the tech lab is finished up here for Psycho. So the next stop should really be get Stimpack started, because it does take a really long time to research. You can see there 2 whole minutes of game time is pretty substantial, so you need to start that as soon as you can. Upgrade this to the orbital command. That gives you the ability to scan. It also gives you the ability to drop mules for the extra income. We can see the Twilight come down for Potty. That's a pretty fast Twilight, to be honest. The Twilight below the 4-minute mark is pretty quick. So what's that gonna spell for us? Is he gonna tech to something using the Twilight, or is it gonna be a charge upgrade? Hopefully we'll find out pretty soon. This is a much earlier expand than we have previously seen from Potty. This is a good map to do it on. Look how small the ramp entrance is to the expand. This is relatively straightforward to hold, so it's not too hard to defend this. It's such an enormous map as well. Look down in the mini map. This map is giant, man. And typically the expand path, this might be close across this cliff, but is actually quite a long walk. So the expand path tends to take you to here and then to here, and you sort of work your way down the side of the map. So a dark shrine is building for Potty, so that answers the question about why we saw that very early Twilight console. Isn't fully saturating this gas, so you know, if he is going to be going for DTs, he definitely will need a lot of gas. DTs are expensive. I think they're 150 gas each, 125, I can't quite remember, something like that anyway. So, you know, they're not cheap units, and it looks like with this forward pylon, Potty is looking to warp in some DTs across the map and try and sneak into his opponent's base and get some free kills, and I would very much like to see that sort of play. Psycho, meanwhile, doing a great job of teching up. The factory is finished, the starport is finished. Has got a handful of Reapers out in the end. Hopefully he's going to use those for a bit of scouting, a bit of map control. You know, generally Reapers, they don't do brilliant in straight up fights against most stuff, but they are very, very fast units, agile units, and they heal themselves. So they're great for popping into your opponent's base, being a bit cheeky, being a bit annoying, having a look around and getting out again without dying. That's really where they shine. So here we go. The DTs warp in. Now, will they be able to get in is the question. You have to be careful here as Potty, because if you're trying to get them in, you don't want them to hack at the buildings and make their presence felt. What you'd ideally want to do is park them outside and wait for the ramp to open so that you can sneak them in undetected. But it doesn't look like he's going to get an opportunity to do that. I think Psycho is going to be pretty happy to stay as he is. Double starport with reactors will allow 4 medevacs at a time to come out. Now what's he going to do with these? This is double height cliff, so they can't jump up there. They do have to jump first onto this level, and then they can leap up here or here. So don't shoot that. These reactors will take a long time to kill that. But Potty just doesn't have anything to deal with this, to be honest. Zealots don't catch Reapers. I mean, you're not going to kill Reapers with Zealots. If he had the Mothership Core could do brilliantly, and these Reapers are going to decimate this mineral line. This is ugly to watch. This could be game ending, this Reaper push. This could just be the end. Stalkers pretty much eat Reapers, so I'm not sure what Potty's waiting for. Is his concentration over here on the DTs? It needs to be at home, Potty. You know, you don't want to lose all of your stuff, so get your units involved, get these Stalkers working for you. They can take on the Reapers, get the Zealots involved too. Let's see if these DTs are going to get in. They are going to get in. The front door is open after all that time of it being closed. Don't attack that stuff. Get in the mineral line. What's happening here, man? These Reapers, 4 of them left with, you know, probably reasonable amounts of kills. Let's take a look at the death tab. 16 workers killed on the other side of the map. Turret comes down. He needs to kill the worker that's building the turret. That will allow detection. But, you know, why isn't he in the mineral line? Why aren't you swiping stuff in the mineral line? Psycho, why aren't you scanning so that you can see these? DT, calling them a mofo isn't going to help you. You need to kill them. Scan. Where's the scan? Drop the scan. You can kill all this stuff. You just need to be able to see it. Does he realize that his orbital command can scan things? Is he aware that that can happen? It appears not. You know, Potty still has no workers mining for him, but he does have large amounts of money. It does look like this is going to finish up. And it is going to finish up, and that's a lot of Marines that are almost dead, and oh my goodness, the DTs walk into the... No, don't walk in there. So it looks like Psycho manages to stabilize this lone DT, hacking a bit of stuff here and there, but you know, this barracks can lift up. Repair that, please. Repair that. Fix it. Don't let that burn down. You know, he can just move his stuff out of the way of this annoying DT. He's building a tech lab now, so perhaps he plans on building a Raven for some mobile detection. That is going to burn down, isn't it? I want to see him repair that. But, you know, all in all, he got off reasonably lightly. I'm not sure what's going on in this corner. You know, he's got a lot of workers just mucking about here. What even is this? What is this? It's a party or an orgy, or I don't really know. It looks horrific. Anyway, this lone DT is determined to be a hero. He has 19 kills, which is pretty significant. Is he gonna follow them? Is he? Well, he is. Presumably, Potty not looking. What? Why is this DT still alive, please? And Psycho, why aren't you mining? So let's have a look at the income tab. What is going on in this game? Psycho, once the workers get back to it, you'll see this shoot up pretty quickly. He's also got enough energy to drop mules. So this will very quickly ramp up. Potty, on the other hand, he is rebuilding his worker line, 2 workers at a time. There is an idle one here, but you've got plenty of money, so you can still be building stuff. Given how well the DTs did, given how obnoxious they were, you have managed to keep yourself in this game, which is excellent. They're not going to be of use anymore now that this Raven is up. So Ravens are detectors, so any further DTs trying to get in will be denied. What happens next? Where do you go from here? So where you go from here, if you're the Terran, you drop mules and you get an expand down, because look, you're running dangerously low on minerals right here. You might even be tempted to just drop a row of mules on this, mine this out, and lift your command center and fly it down to the low ground. Because you really don't have very much money to be spending on a new CC. If you're Potty, yeah, you absolutely should be building workers non-stop. You've still got money in the bank. Has he researched charge? Has charge been done? No. So I'd be inclined to get some gas together and research charge, so that you can turn this mineral stash that you've got into so the Reapers come in again, and that's another mineral line lost. It needs to get the mothership core involved in this, because Reapers obviously don't shoot up, and the mothership core can do very well against them, both in terms of just zoning them out, but also those photon overcharges are superb. So the Reapers do go down, and this force is pretty even. 36-32. It is pretty even. Now the medevacs will make this a valuable force, and the turrets that can be dropped by this Raven mean that if this goes head to head, this will require a little bit of micro, but oh, don't do that, Potty. No, that's terrible. The walk past is not pretty to watch. This is going to be pretty close. You can see how tough these zealots are, and I think there is enough to hold here. So the Raven needed to drop some auto turrets to help that stuff out. The third medevac needed to be in there helping as well. Don't lose the Raven, whatever you do. Oh, no. Yeah, so the Terran really did need to do there had to be a bit of microing to win that fight, or at least to trade well, and in the end didn't trade so well. So PottyPirate well ahead in the units killed count. But look at the production tab, we've got 7 Marines coming out. Potty is now building zealots, and is now, as I suggested, researching the charge upgrade that will make those zealots so much more effective. Yeah, what have you got at home? These Vikings, I'm not so sure about the Vikings. They're not really going to help you that much in a fight. I mean, you can land them and they're reasonably tough, but I'd like to see them fly into here and just land and clean up that mineral line again. I'd like to see that sort of use being made of them. You can also use them to pick off the mothership core, which is great. But look, you've got a factory sitting. Where's the siege tanks? Because siege tanks can really make such a huge difference to defensive play. Look, you've got tiny amounts of minerals left. It is time to get down here and get mining. So you need to fly the command center down there, and really I would personally only feel comfortable doing that with a siege tank for support. The Liberator can do fantastically well though, and does set up the Liberation Zone on the ramp, which is that it should. Unfortunately, a hole in the wall, so these zealots do all get in, but with the medevac supporting, actually there is more than enough to hold this, and it isn't a problem. So it will to take out this mothership core, and I think that's a lot. You know, that liberation, Liberator's just, you know, look at that, 75 damage per shot into the liberation zone. So you know that 6 kills, that is pretty beastly, and each one of those kills is an expensive unit. You know, whereas kills for the Protoss, he's killing Marines, which are pretty cheap. So that went extremely well for Psycho, a very good hold indeed. Now these, he should realise really that his opponent's army is used up, that he isn't going to meet much resistance in the main. So, you know, I'd really love to see those Vikings go in and just mop stuff up here. However, let's look at the income tab. Look, it's 0. He's mined out the main, so you know he's got nothing coming in. He's got 62 minerals in the bank. What you can do is just lift this up and fly it to somewhere, just land it there and drop a row of mules and get yourself some money super fast. Oh no, the Raven of course died, but you know, this turret, these are in range of the turret but don't appear to be getting shot, so he needs to run back to that turret a little bit. That will do, and just clean that up. So yeah, I kind of like it with the DTs. Sort of, I would personally not send them in 3s like that because they're probably going to get mopped up. But you know, certainly send one in and just snipe this worker, just be obnoxious. Snipe this depot, just you know, just be a bit irritating. Cost your opponent scans, cost them APM, do all of those types of things. Send it in 3, I think a little bit wasteful because you know you're going to lose them ultimately. What I'm concerned about though is Potty isn't building workers, so you know this is not a great income by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, yeah, he's ahead of his opponent. That isn't going to last though, because his opponent can drop mules onto these mineral lines. So, and there go the mules. So you know, if I check the income tab again in 20 seconds, you'll see how much of a difference that makes. So Potty's going to get left behind economically in this game if he isn't careful. Needs to build workers to replace those that he's lost. You know, look, his income is almost stationary. It's not any good. There you go. There's those mules kicking in. You know, so a huge income advantage for Psycho. Now the supplies are very even at present. But if Psycho can start to turn that extra income into units, he should be able to wrap this game up pretty quickly. He has +1. There is no forge for his opponent, so you know, no upgrades other than the charge upgrade that's already been done. So I think Potty is skating on pretty thin ice here. He needs to get things together if he's going to win this game. Needs to get things together if he's going to stay in the game. I'd love to see our robotics bay come down. You know, we do have warp kit is researched, so you know, turn these into warp kits because you can produce units quicker from warp kits, and you have that advantage of being able to warp them in anywhere in the map. A carrier swarm. Yeah, if only you knew how poor your opponent's economy was. And you should know because you did the damage and you do have those Vikings, you know, and you did do a little flyby a while ago. I'd like to see just generally more scouting. You need information about your opponent. If you know, so often in this tournament we've seen cases where one player could have won the game and didn't, and then you know, sometimes goes on to win anyway, other times goes on to then lose the game, having passed a point in the game when they could have won, and the only reason they haven't won is because they just didn't realize how far ahead they were. You know, so you need to stay on top of the information side of the game. You need to check what your opponent's doing. You need to find out what they're about, so that you can gauge, you know, am I ahead? Do I have the bigger army? If I attack, will I just die, or will I actually crush? Is my opponent's army out of position? You know, if there is my opponent's army halfway across the map, in which case can I sneak into the back of their base and take out their workers or take out some important tech structures? If you don't have information, you can't make those decisions. It's as simple as that. So, Psycho, what are you doing, Psycho? There's nothing in the production tab whatsoever. You've got these 3 barracks just sitting idle. You know, both players are now beginning to amass minerals. Potty finally beginning to saturate this base. Has completely stopped mining gas from that one. Doesn't have any gas being mined from these. Land. What? How can you not? Like, you know they're there. They're right there. They're like blue on the mini map. It's alright. I'll just let those hover there a while. It's not the prettiest attack by the zealots that I've ever seen, but that, you know, a bit sloppy from both sides, really. If you see three enemy units hovering near your mineral line, go and kill it. Don't just ignore it. When it lands in your mineral line, pull the workers out of the way as quick as you can. And you know, if you've got some Vikings landed killing your opponent's workers, and his army turns up, and you're clearly not going to win the fight, fly away. Take off and fly. Don't just throw away your units. Anyway. This I like to see, missile turret coming down at the front, you know, with the planetary fortress behind it. Just means you don't have to think about DTs. Any DT shows up here, it's going to get an absolute kick in. Isn't taking any chances. Couple of bunkers, got the liberation zone as well. You know, so Psycho, if you fill these bunkers with that turret there, just imagine how big a force it would actually take to break this. You know, that will hold anything other than a really sizable army that you kind of know your opponent doesn't have. So I like what I'm saying. He's made good defenses at home, and he's then moving out with the bulk of his army. And I think this is going to end the game, to be honest. He, you know, still does need to be a little bit careful. Protoss units are tough, but, you know, these don't have upgrades. We've got charge. Needs to be careful with these medevacs, though. Don't fly those in on their own. Medevacs need to be at the back, not at the front. Oh, no, don't lose the medevacs. That changes everything. That utterly changes the value of the army. Oh, come on. No, it's all bad. These Marines are worth half as much without those medevacs, but I don't think it's going to matter, because there's just so many of them. So walk up the ramp and win, really. I mean, you've got charge lots, which, yes, are going to be hurtful, but you know, this many Marines, the DPS is so high. You can see just how quickly those zealots die. You know, so maybe if all of the Protoss stuff had have attacked simultaneously, if there was a mothership core for a photon overcharge, might have been able to hold. But there is no holding this now, and that is going to be the GG. So, pretty good game, you know. We had quite a bit of back and forth, bit of this, bit of that. A few different plays in to be had. It was very hard to pick a winner earlier in the game. You know, the DTs did a reasonable amount of damage on the other side of the map. The Reapers on this side of the map did a lot of damage. And yeah, sure, tricky to pick a winner until sort of toward the end. And yeah, we were there at the time. We saw what happened. We saw the mistakes being made. You know, look, this is just dead win. Oh, where did this? What? No, just scanning about to make sure he doesn't have any bases anywhere else. But we're watching the end. So yeah, both players had chances to win the game. Probably had opportunities. Didn't really jump on top of them. You know, had a large bank for a long time, but wasn't quite quick enough to convert that into the units that he needed. Wasn't quite quick enough to tech up, and really just sat back a bit too long and allowed the Terran player to just build up a massive army. He's got loaded SCVs in there. These are like the safest SCVs in the world. They're just hiding inside the planetary fortress. Yeah, man. Well, I enjoyed that. That was some nice bit of scraft. Yeah. Well played, Psycho. Well played, Potty. GG.